no sports, no politics, and no religion in a bar.
We're in a quote-unquote woke hotel, and we put it in our menu, we put it in our bar team, we put it on our back bar.
And I understand the irony of two white dudes sitting on a bench. Has shit gone down here?
We got labeled the anti-Trump hotel.
So let's talk about, I guess, the team maybe. We have, obviously, poignantly, Drinks Masters.
Most things get made democratically here.
So scum. The award ceremonies, whatever. Like, what do you think about all this shit?
It's exhausting, but at the same time, holy shit, it's so much fun.
I hate people. I'm joined today by Deke, surname?
Dunne. Yeah.
Deke Dunne.
Deke Dunne.
Why does everybody in the US have a Marvel superhero fucking alliteration? Stan Lee was everywhere. Deke Dunne, Brian Baker.
Oh yeah.
I feel like I'm not cool enough. We're joined here by Deke Dunne for the latest version of Bar Talks. I have no idea what we're going to call this episode because we don't script shit. So the reason we decided to do this episode is because this is probably for me personally, from where I'm from in the world, this is like the most out there concept I've ever seen, right? So we're in a woke hotel, we're in a woke bar, but that's the wrong way to say it, because I think the story of this place and the story of this entire building is amazing. What do you think about the phrase, no sports, no politics, and no religion in a bar?
Obviously we hate it.
I was gonna say.
It's interesting. So we're in the quote-unquote anti-Trump hotel. We're in a quote-unquote woke hotel. Our space is, built around principles that, people call woke. I guess, woke used to be an enlightened term, and now it's been weaponized.
Well, let's change it. Let's not use that in the interview. We can do it for the clickbait. But progressive.
Absolutely. Yeah, progressive. Like
liberal. I don't know.
Socially conscious.
There you go. Yeah. Socially conscious.
Purpose-driven. Basically, what you asked was a really poignant question, because most people in bars truly believe they do not talk about religion, do not talk politics, don't talk about sports.
And I'm not gonna lie, I've really held this belief for a long time, so this is really gonna be interesting for me.
So we built this entire bar around this concept where we are going to literally hang our political beliefs and our philosophies and our ethos on our sleeve. We put it out front and center for people to see, and we put it in our menu, we put it in our bar team, we put it on our back bar, we put it everywhere. And basically the entire exercise has been to show people in the bar community that you can be an activist and an advocate in bar spaces and be successful.
And I understand the irony of two white dudes sitting on a bench.
Right, and a white guy running the bar program.
Right,
the irony is definitely not lost on me.
Right, but instead of sitting there and finding cheap shots, let's talk about, well, first of all, this awesome mural. Give me the story.
Yeah, so the bar Allegory is basically a call out to the mural that we had painted around the entire bar. It is Alice in Wonderland, but it is told through the eyes of Ruby Bridges. Ruby Bridges, for those who aren't
European, no idea.
Yeah, exactly. Who don't understand or don't have any American history background. Up until 1960, American school systems were completely segregated, black and white, separate but equal. There was a federal mandate for segregation. Louisiana and New Orleans was one of the first communities to segregate or desegregate their schools. John F. Kennedy had to send the National Guard down to make sure that black girls got into white schools, black kids got into white schools safely.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it was crazy. So Ruby Bridges was one of these few children that were picked to desegregate an all-white school.
How old was this child?
She was 6 years old.
So 6-year-old thrust into this.
Thrust into she became one of the most famous people on the planet in 1960.
Okay.
And so our entire theme is basically talking about what that experience was like. Alice in Wonderland, a young 6-year-old Alice gets thrust into Wonderland.
Yeah.
It's a scary, confusing, wild world. Yeah. Ruby, a young black girl, gets thrust into an all-white school, into all-white culture for the first time. And so we really explore, basic concepts of, child naivete, where does racism come from, systemic racism, all those types of things. And it's there for people to find. And in our menu, we really dive into Ruby's experience as an individual, walking through that we worked, dissected Ruby Bridges interviews, and we put together a first-person narrative of the young 6-year-old Ruby going into an all-white school.
Now that's the storyline.
That's the storyline of the menu, and we just kind of show people like this was only like Ruby's in her 60s right now.
So my question is, since you're a living and not a new bar, the bar. How old is the bar?
We opened in September 2018.
So the bar is now 5 years old.
Yeah.
2018, the political situation in this country was different.
Yeah.
And so, can you I really want to know as much as what has shit gone down here?
Remarkably, DC is a pretty liberal city, but when we did open up, it was during the Trump administration. It was 2018. That's the conditions in which we opened.
Yeah.
And we got labeled the anti-Trump hotel because there was the Trump hotel, which is now the Waldorf Astoria.
Oh, he's out?
Yeah, he's out. And
literally and figuratively.
Yeah, exactly. At that point, we were basically creating the space in a city where people think oh, this is a concept in Washington, D.C. That makes sense. Actually, D.C. has been hyper apolitical. Your sentiment, don't talk politics, religion, sports, that's taken to the nth degree in DC.
Right.
Because we are such a political city, we're such a transient city. For so many generations, people have been coming in and out of different political walks. So bartenders really, truly here believe that politics is separate.
So let's talk about, the team maybe. We have, obviously, poignantly, Drinks Masters, maybe not the point of this episode, but Capri, she was on Drinks.
She's amazing. Yeah.
She's on Drink Masters, she's the head bartender, I guess? Or?
We don't really have a hierarchical structure in that sense. Everyone's just kind of equal.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Tell me about
I'm the bar director, but and I do make a lot of decisions unilaterally, but at the same time, most things get made democratically here, and everyone just vibes here so well as a team that
the team's awesome.
And so it's kind of if there's an issue, we talk about it. If it's an issue, we resolve it. So all the bartenders are kind of on equal footing.
Regardless of their
everyone gets
Netflix associations.
Regardless of how famous they are.
Yeah.
And so, some people have a lot more experience than others on the team, but at the same time, everyone has every opportunity to get a drink on the menu. Everyone gets equal opportunity to bartend.
That's cool.
Try to keep it pretty democratic.
That's nice. This has been pretty interesting with regards to the concept, to everything. Have you, in terms of getting your message out there, let's say outside the U.S., right? Have you done any pop-ups outside the U.S. yet?
We've done a little bit, yeah, absolutely.
And how's that been going for you? Is it tough to?
It's been good. We've actually
because we're so uneducated about your history.
It's been one of those things I'm new to this whole global bartending thing. This is my first time running a cocktail bar. This is my first time doing national and global pop-ups. My first time dipping my toe into this global bartending scene, and it's been incredible. Navigating those spaces, figuring out how we tell our story, I'm still working on that.
Right.
Still working on the messaging. I went to Barcelona last year for 50's Best, World's 50 Best, did 2 pop-ups. And we tried to weave some of the names and stories into our cocktails, but I really wasn't able to convey the message, the emotion, the feeling that you get when you come to the bar. And that's one thing that we're really working on right now, on how to build out a effective pop-up where we can bring our identity with us.
Cool. All right, that makes sense.
Because don't get me wrong, popping up in a bar with your homies, making drinks all night, it's fun. But at the end of the day, everyone on this team is an ambassador of the space. So we're really trying to figure out effective ways to convey the art, convey the message, and we have some really cool stuff in the works. But we're still working on the whole package.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
And so, interestingly enough, your story.
Yeah, man. It was a situation where I came to DC. Classic story in DC is if you're not there's a lot of wonderful people that grew up in DC. There's a lot of people that were transient that came from elsewhere. I first moved here 14 years ago to work in politics.
Politicians to a bartender.
Yeah,
politicians, you scum. You scum. So politics, and now you're a bartender.
Yeah, so I worked in politics for 8 years. Off and on, working on the Hill, running political campaigns, and then working back on the Hill again, and then eventually coming to an absolute breaking point where I couldn't take it anymore and switched to bartending full time. I'd always bartended on the weekends when I worked in politics.
Even when you were working politics?
Number one, had to pay the bills because politics doesn't pay shit.
Okay.
Yeah, money's garbage. Unless you're at the elite upper echelon levels where you're really scummy. You know, so in order to make ends meet, living in DC, I'd bartend on the weekends, and that's when I like really discovered, because I bartended through college, bartend, you know, on the weekends when I worked in politics, and that's when I discovered like my community. Like these are my people. I tell people all the time I really disliked DC when I worked in politics because I hung out with people who worked in politics.
Right.
We went to bad bars. We went to bad restaurants. Nobody would go to concerts with me. You know, people weren't interested in the things I was interested in, and I really didn't like DC, and I really had a hard time getting out of my own bubble, out of the political bubble. The minute I switched over to bartending and met all the people in the industry, started going to all these amazing cocktail bars, going to all these amazing restaurants, meeting chefs, you know, finally finding people that has similar musical tastes, like people are into like art, all this amazing stuff. Then the city opened up and I realized just how much of a beautiful, amazing city that this is, which is, we do have a public perception problem nationally and globally. People assume we're the seat of power. They see suits. They see, you know, for better or for worse, the American government, you know, and all the
things. There's a look.
There's a certain look to it. And one of the things I have become so passionate about is exposing people to DC and the amazing food scene, the amazing culture here, the history, and just the people here that are absolutely crushing.
No, I got you.
Yeah.
So just quickly,
and so that's how I transitioned, was in 2016. Everyone, I think, knows what happened in 2016. At least
there's this guy that came into power.
And so I got out, and I was so lucky enough to find myself with some amazing cocktail heads that are built an amazing community here, and I was able to.
For you, here's a funny thing, because I've never met an ex-political worker turned bartender. You know, everyone's usually like an outcast from an like, oh, I couldn't go to university. That's my story, you know, or some actors and whatever. Also, But you, as someone who's now coming into the politics of bartending, I keep making a joke about it, you know, right? The award ceremonies, whatever. Like, what do you think about all this shit? Like, what's your view on it?
It's so much different than politics, where everyone hates you. In bartending, everyone likes you.
Who's more he disliked, bartenders or lawyers? Politicians or or bankers.
It's been fascinating learning the system, the award ceremony system, and I would still consider myself like a novice at it. You know, we've gotten some great recognition. And we're very excited. You know, James Beard semifinals and like Discovery List, and we've even been nominated for Tales and whatnot. So it's been really cool. But at the end of the day, I'm still like, watching your presentation yesterday, I'm still clearly a novice working my way to the top of the pile, figuring out like how it all works. And it's fascinating. I'm not sure, like, it's exhausting. I kind of wish we didn't have to spend so much physical and emotional capital on it. I wish there was maybe a system where, like, you know, people just came to you to judge whether or not you have a good bar, that you didn't have to do this guest shift thing and fly all over the world and, you know, spend all the time.
Throw me under the bus right now. I'm like, fucking absolutely the worst version of this.
No, I mean, I don't hate anybody for playing the game at all. I think it's a brilliant, in the sense, like, we're getting paid to travel, which is amazing. That's incredible. I've seen places I never thought I'd see. You know, I was in India last year. We went up to the Himalayas. Like, truly a experience I never thought I would experience. So, like, it's a double-edged sword. The guest shift thing, the traveling the world thing, it's exhausting. But at the same time, holy shit, it's so much fun. Because you get to meet all these amazing people. You get to experience all these amazing cultures. Like, I'm doing stuff I never thought I'd be doing. So, like I said, double-edged sword. I have a very conflicted, like, duality in me.
I sometimes feel that, okay, here you have to be 21 to bartend, so you have a bit more maturity, I guess, before you come into the industry. Whilst in Europe, it's like 18, right? And sometimes I have this feeling that we get these 18-year-old kids that have been raised in their sheltered family environments, sometimes not in the city, sometimes whatever, thrust into this world of alcohol, drugs, lots of people. They don't have any social skills. They don't have, or at least they're not developed necessarily fully. They only see the world based on the lenses provided to them by their parents or their specific upbringing. And then we've now adopted them, bar managers and head bartenders, like adoptive parents. And they obviously being children, there's a bunch of mistakes that can happen from racism, from sexism, and you have to navigate this, and you're almost like an adoptive parent. Like, do you not feel this way sometimes? Do you not feel like
I mean, it's a tough culture, man.
And where do you draw the line?
Yeah.
In terms of where is it my responsibility to raise this adult, technically?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I definitely feel a overarching responsibility for my team, 100%. And I also hire very specific people.
Right.
If your maturity level isn't at the level where it needs to be for a space like this, like we're conveying a very serious topic to people. Obviously you can't be a part of our team. It's nothing wrong with you inherently. It's just like you're not where you need to be here.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. We're just looking for a specific group of people that are passionate and can convey this type of message and believe in the message as well. But at the end of the day, I think we are, for better or for worse, like responsible for our team. And I've definitely worked in bars where there need to be somebody to be like, yo, you are spiraling. You are here, you need to be down here. Like, your drinking is off the rails, things you're saying to guests off the rails. Like, there needs to be like that kind of like that figure in the bar, in each bar, with that like checks people and be like, yo, like the occasional shot or safety means chill, but like you're getting rip-roaring drunk every single night. This is gonna develop into habits. Eventually you're gonna deteriorate. Like, you won't. This job will chew up and spit you out.
Yeah.
You need people to like tell people that, like, and also teach people like, hey, don't talk to female guests that way. Or they're like, train people on how to interact with people safely and appropriately. I mean, at the end of the day, that is the bar manager's like job, is to like guide the individual in like a healthy way. And there's all these amazing tools that you can use to do it. It's not all on your shoulders. But
you think bar management is cool, guys? It's Excel spreadsheets and and PR management and fucking crisis aversion.
Yeah, it's true. You want
to make cocktails? Stick at bartending. Just stick to the fucking script.
Yeah, exactly. Bar managing's not for everybody. For sure.
And you wonder why they're cynical, bitter, and upset after like 20 years. What do you do? Oh, I fucking hate people. And they're not even guests that they hate. It's just you fuckers.
I cannot blame somebody.
Aging. I think sometimes bar managers are like, they age like dogs do. For every 1 year, it's 8 years. Like, the shit that they have to deal with.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Deke, fuck it. We're done. It was good. Love it. Thank you. Let's see.
Thank you, brother.
Take it easy.
Yeah.